let's transition to a matchup in the AFC. It's AFC Championship rematch. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, who are favored by 2.5 points, traveling here to Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a 4:25 kickoff. The over-under for this game is 52.5. I am so excited for this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! It's going to be a great game between two big-time quarterbacks. But let's take a trip down memory lane, and let's talk about the Bengals and the Chiefs matchup last year in the regular season and in the postseason. So the last year in the regular season, the Bengals, they beat the Chiefs 34-31 at then Paul Brown Stadium. In the game, Patrick Mahomes went 26 of 35. He threw for 259 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And for the Bengals, Joe Burrow, he went 30 of 39. He threw for 446 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. And in this game, the Chiefs, they were leading at halftime 28-17. But the Bengals outscored the Chiefs 17-3 in the second half. And Joe Burrow brought the Bengals back from an 11-point deficit at halftime. So Bengals were sensational in their Week 17 win over the Chiefs last year. And that was a game that clinched the AFC North for the Bengals. So big-time win for the Bengals. Now, here is the AFC Championship game from last year. The Bengals beat the Chiefs again. This time, it was in Kansas City. Bengals won 27-24 for the Bengals. Joe Burrow went 23 of 38, 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. T. Higgins had a great performance, 6 receptions, 103 receiving yards. For the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes struggled in the second half. He went 26 of 39, 275 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 10 receptions, 95 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. And in this matchup, at halftime, the Chiefs were beating the Bengals again. This time, it was Chiefs 21, Bengals 10. And in the second half and overtime, the Bengals outscored the Chiefs again, 17-3. And I was so impressed with the way the Bengals were able to pull this off. And honestly, when I look at these two teams, right, I'm excited because we got two teams who are like not in good ways. Like they don't like each other. Like the Chiefs and Bengals do not like each other. When I listen to the Chiefs, when they play against the Bills, I see and I hear compliments from both teams about the opposing team. You hear Josh Allen complimenting Patrick Mahomes. You hear Patrick Mahomes complimenting Josh Allen. You hear Sean McDermott complimenting Andy Reid and vice versa. But the Bengals and the Chiefs do not like each other. They were going back and forth on Twitter yesterday. This was on Twitter. This was Justin Reid, the safety for the Chiefs. He was on Twitter, and I guess he was talking about number 88 for the Bengals. He went from talking about Tyler Higbee, then he was talking about T. Higgins, and he was talking about Hayden Hurst. And so Justin Reid on Twitter, he said, to be honest, I meant Hayden Hurst for the man matchups. Nonetheless, any and everybody still getting locked up. That was Justin Reid, the safety for the Chiefs. And this was Jamar Chase, who's going to play in this game. He responded to Reid and he said, let's put some money on it, big time. So I love this. I love this. Jamar Chase is going to play in this game. And I am so excited for this matchup. I really, really am, because they don't like each other. And I believe that the Chiefs believe that the Cincinnati Bengals are the primary reason why they did not return back to the Super Bowl last year. And not just because of their winning the AFC Championship. Remember, the Chiefs lost to the Bengals in week 17, and they weren't the number one seed in the AFC last year. That happened to be the Tennessee Titans. The Chiefs wanted to be the number one seed in the AFC so they could have the road to the Super Bowl go through Kansas City. And the Bengals beat them in week 17 and ruined their chances at the number one seed in the AFC. And they ruined their chances at getting back to the Super Bowl last year as well. So I know Patrick Mahomes is going to be up for this matchup. You look at Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. These are two of the best quarterbacks that we have in the NFL. But Patrick Mahomes has not beaten Joe Burrow yet. This is Mahomes versus Burrow in their matchups against each other, including the playoffs. Mahomes is 0-2 versus Joe Burrow. Mahomes, he averages 267 passing yards per game. He has 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 102.0 passer rating. Now, Joe Burrow, he averages 348 passing yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. His passer rating is 117.7. So we've seen Patrick Mahomes beat Josh Allen. We've seen Patrick Mahomes beat Lamar Jackson. We've seen Patrick Mahomes beat Justin Herbert. But he has not beaten Joe Burrow yet in his career. And I believe that of all the teams in the AFC, the Bengals are not afraid of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not. The Chiefs have beaten the Chargers in very meaningful regular season games. They've beaten the Bills in meaningful playoff games. They've beaten the Ravens. They have not been able to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And this Bengals offense, they live up to the hype against this Chiefs team. Offensively, we know the Bengals are loaded. At quarterback, you got Joe Burrow. You got Joe Mixon in the backfield. You got P. Ryan, who's been playing well lately. At receiver, the Bengals have one of the best receiving corps in the NFL. They got Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins. They got Tyler Boyd. At tight end, you got Hayden Hurst, a nice replacement for CJ Uzomah, who was on the Bengals last year. And when the Bengals face off against the Chiefs, they average 31 points per game. They average 6.5 yards per play. They average 417 yards per game, and they convert on 22% of their first downs. And then you look at them against other teams in comparison to when they play the Chiefs. They average 26 points per game, yards per play 5.6, yards per game is 355 yards per game. And that first down per game is 20.3. And that original statistic I said with first downs, it's not percentage, it's more so the amount of first downs that they get. So the Bengals against the Chiefs, they average 22 first downs per game. Against other teams, they average 20 first downs per game. So against the Chiefs, the Bengals offense shows up. They show up in a big time way, and Jamar Chase is going to return back to the field for the Bengals. I believe that the Bengals organization, the way they handled Jamar Chase's injury was perfect. It was perfect. Remember, Jamar Chase, he left in week 7. After week 7, I think that was the game that he left because the Bengals had to play the Falcons in week 7. In that game, Jamar Chase had like 8 receptions for like over 100 receiving yards in that game. But he was out in 4 games. He was out against the Browns, Panthers, Steelers, Titans. And the Bengals, in his absence, went 3-1. I thought the Bengals organization, they handled it perfectly because you don't need Jamar Chase to beat the Panthers or the Steelers or even the Titans. You can beat those teams without him. And I thought they did a great job. There were reports last week on how Jamar Chase could have possibly played in the Titans game. And I thought immediately, keep him out, bring him back against the Chiefs. You don't need Jamar Chase to beat the Titans. You don't need him against the Titans. This is Ryan Tannehill you're going up against. This ain't Josh Allen. This ain't Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. This is Ryan Tannehill. You can beat the Titans without Jamar Chase. But you're going to need Jamar Chase to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the Bengals, Zach Taylor, Mike Brown, and that Bengals organization, they did a great job with the timing for when they're going to bring back Jamar Chase, their star receiver. You look at Jamar Chase, since 2021, Jamar Chase has 11 receiving touchdowns of 25 yards or more. That's 3 more than any other receiver in the NFL. So I like the way Patrick Mahomes been playing this year. We know Patrick Mahomes is a leading candidate for NFL MVP honors. And he is the highest graded quarterback according to Pro Football Focus this year. He's graded at 91.5%. You got Tua at 91%. Josh Allen at 90.9%. I don't know how he's over Joe Burrow. You got Jalen Hurts at 87.6%. And you got Jalen Hurts at 87.6%. I'm sorry. And Joe Burrow was at 87.5%. And I love the way Patrick Mahomes has been playing this year. You look at Mahomes, I think Mahomes is the leading candidate for NFL MVP honors. He got 29 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 3,585 passing yards. He's completing 66% of his passes. Patrick Mahomes has been sensational this year. And this is without Tyreek Hill. We all talked about coming into the season. How is Mahomes going to adjust without his best receiver in Tyreek Hill? He's doing quite fine. And at the top of the NFL MVP conversation. But it wouldn't be happening without Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has been sensational this season, ladies and gentlemen. When you talk about NFL MVP, the same way that Tyreek Hill is in the conversation, we got to include Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce got 73 receptions, 912 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. He's averaging close to over 2.5 touchdowns per game. It seems like every time I watch the Chiefs, Travis Kelce is in the end zone multiple times per game. I mean, defenses have no answer for Travis Kelce. So we know the Chiefs offense, they are one of the best offenses in the NFL. You look at them offensively, they're top 5 in every major statistical category. The Chiefs offensively, they average 441 total yards per game. That's ranked first in the NFL. They average 315 passing yards. That's ranked first in the NFL. They average 30 points per game. That's ranked first in the NFL. And they convert on 51% of their third down plays. That's ranked first in the NFL. This is a high-powered offense that the Kansas City Chiefs put on display week in and week out, led by Patrick Mahomes. At receiver, they got Marquez Valdes-Scantling. They got Juju Smith-Schuster, Hartman as well. So, we know this Chiefs offense is going to put up points. They're going to put up points. But I think the biggest difference in the game is going to be the Bengals defense. I think the Bengals defense is better than the Chiefs defense is. I really, really do. Defensively for the Bengals, they are middle of the pack in a lot of categories. Total yards given up, they give up 339 yards per game. That's ranked 11th in the NFL. They are average against the pass and against the run. Against the pass, they give up 216 yards per game. That's tied for 14th in the NFL. They give up 112 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 13th in the NFL. I thought the Bengals defense did a tremendous job last week against Derrick Henry. I thought they were sensational against Derrick Henry last week. They held Derrick Henry to only 38 rushing yards. 38 rushing yards for Derrick Henry last week against that Bengals defense. So we know defensively they're led by defensive coordinator Lou Admiral. And as their pass rushers, they got Trey Hendrickson. They got Sam Hubbard. DJ Reader is going to play in this game. At linebacker, you got Logan Wilson. You got Jermaine Pratt as well. Their secondary is suspect because I don't believe in Eli Apple. I think Eli Apple is very, very suspect at corner. Uwuzie is out for the year. He was their best corner before his season-ending injury. But this is going to be a great matchup at Paycor Stadium Sunday afternoon. I don't understand why the hell the NFL did not flex this game. I don't want to see the Colts and Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I want to see Chiefs, Bengals, Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. That's what I want to see. I want to see an AFC Championship rematch. I don't know why the hell they didn't flex this game into the Sunday Night Football window. Nevertheless, with all that being said, I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think both of these offenses are going to put up a lot of points in this game. If you are a betting man, I would suggest for you to take the over because it's going to be a lot of points scored Sunday afternoon at Paycor Stadium. With all that being said, I'm rolling with the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going Patrick Mahomes 35, Joe Burrow 31. I think it's going to be close, but I think Patrick Mahomes is going to rebound from his last two performances against the Bengals and beat the Bengals at Paycor Stadium. And I think the Chiefs are going to improve to 10-2 on the season, but I still think the Bengals have a chance at a playoff spot in the AFC.